Shots fired on Madison's southwest side just hours ago, the update we received from the police department. Also, today marks 5 days since the government shut down. We're covering the impacts this shutdown could have on the economy and a walk for a good cause, the amount of money raised to end Alzheimer's here in Madison. That's all coming up at 5:30. Good evening and thanks for joining. I'm Tanasia Shaw. Jalen Banks has the day off. We're going to start with some breaking news here in Madison. There were shots fired on Madison's southwest side. Madison Police Department is saying that someone shot at a quote property. Here's video from the scene. News 3 Now crews were there as police knocked on the door during their early investigation. Police say that no one is hurt and they are still gathering information about this situation. Now to Madison's east side, where a police chase happened after a traffic stop Saturday night. Starting on Lakewood Boulevard in Sherman, ending with multiple agencies responding to Madison's east side. This happened just after 11 last night in the Sherman Terrace neighborhood, just east of Tenney Park, where the chase had ended. You can see a damaged SUV stuck on a curb in the Fordham Avenue Strip Mall parking lot bordering the neighborhood Maple Bluff. Shorewood Hills and Wanakee police officers, as well as Wisconsin state troopers, were also on the scene. Several law enforcement officers, 2 drones, and a police K-9 had searched the area. The SUV towed from the scene and it cleared around midnight. Madison police confirmed there is no threat to the public right now. Also happening right now, Rock County Sheriff's Department is investigating a house fire at a vacant home. Crews responded earlier this morning around 9:30. Several fire departments responded to the scene and thankfully no one is hurt. Rock County Sheriff's Department says this doesn't seem to be suspicious, but this investigation is ongoing. Now let's get a check of weather with our certified most accurate forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, it was hot, now it's going to be not.
Yes. You know, folks, we have been underneath some pretty warm temperatures over the last couple of days. This entire weekend, plenty of sunshine, 80s, even few 90s to start off the weekend. Not as warm today as where we were yesterday and Friday, but we're still in those 80s as we take a live look on our Edgewood sky cam there at Lake Mendota. Southwesterly winds still sticking with us, and they are a bit breezy. Certainly, we're not seeing as strong as wind gusts at this current hour, but earlier today, some of those gusts were upwards of 30 miles per hour. They're still going to remain breezy as we go over the next couple of hours. So if you're going to be outside, just keep that in mind. As a cold front begins to move its way closer, we're going to watch as those clouds move on in. Rain is going to move in as we go overnight, maybe a few thunderstorms as well. Not expecting any severe weather as those showers and thunderstorms continue as we go into Monday of next week. We'll take a look at just how much rain we could pick up and if there's any more rain coming up in the extended forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Now, as the government shuts down, enters a second week, President Trump says firings of government employees will be because of Democrats. This comes as CBS News poll finds Americans are frustrated with the shutdown and worry about its impact on the economy. CBS News' Chanel Call has more.
As the government shutdown enters its second week, President Trump remains adamant that Democrats are responsible for the shutdown and for the potential layoffs of government employees. The White House says firings will happen if the government is not reopened soon.
We're ready to go back. You know, we have a record-setting economy. We have a record-setting country. Prices are way down. We're doing better than the country's ever done. And the Democrats hate seeing that. It's up to them. Anybody laid off, that's because of the Democrats.
A new CBS News poll finds many Americans are frustrated with the shutdown, disapproving of the White House, Republicans in Congress, and Democrats in Congress nearly equally. The poll also finds that those surveyed are worried about the impact the shutdown could have on the economy, with 49% saying they're very concerned and 31% saying they are somewhat concerned. On Sunday's Face the Nation, congressional leaders from both sides of the aisle blame the opposing party for the shutdown, with Democratic leaders saying they're fighting for Americans' health care and Republicans saying the Democrats are being unreasonable.
We have a health care crisis in America caused by the Republicans. They've barreled us towards a shutdown because they don't want to deal with that crisis.
There's probably 400 different ideas on how to fix that, but we need a little time to do it. We're not saying that we won't negotiate it. We're saying turn the lights back on in Congress.
The next congressional vote on the shutdown is expected to take place on Monday. Chanel Call, CBS News.
Today, people in Monona are letting go of stigmas related to disabilities at an event called Unconditionally Confident. The host, Michaela Mulrow, is using the event to uplift and inspire people to get rid of stereotypes. Mulrow has craniofacial and hearing disabilities. She told News 3 Now that she faces barriers, but she does not let that stop her.
My main message for everyone is just put yourself out there. Do it, stop being afraid, and just be in the moment. And don't, everybody has so many ideas, yet they kind of go to the side. And then you find yourself thinking, whoa, why am I still where I'm at? So just push yourself and see how far you can go.
Truly such an uplifting message that we all could use. Today's event is the first of a free 6-week series, so you can possibly see her in person. And you might have seen them marching up and down State Street, Madison's very own mounted police unit. But did you know there's a chance for you to meet the horses themselves up close and personal? That's what the public was able to do today at the Friends of Madison's Mounted Police Patrol Apple Orchard fundraiser at Alpine Ridge Orchard in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, Bubba, Torres, Cooper, Thor, Spirit, and Buckets were all in attendance alongside their officers. Those are the horses. You could learn about their work and take part in fun games, including some, of course, of apple picking. I should say. Katie Ripple is a board member of the fundraising group and says the Mounted Police Unit fills a special niche when it comes to keeping the city safe.
Crowd control in State Street, they are super important they actually just got their hours extended, which is great for bar time and making sure people get home safe and are okay at the end of the night. Yeah, so they're just, police forces are great, and I'm so glad Madison has a unit, and I'm so glad that I can help support them through this.
Ripple also says mounted units are helpful in search and rescue missions because of their size, making them able to see things sometimes that drones can't. For now, there's no public events planned to meet the horses, but you can always organize an informal meet and greet in your neighborhood at thecityofmadison.com. Now to Warner Park, where people are getting their steps in for a good cause. Today, the Alzheimer's Association hosted the 2025 Madison Walk to End Alzheimer's, bringing in a sea of purple and a fundraising goal of $276,000. Our Nash Dara has more.
The annual walk brought in over 1,000 people from across Dane County and south central Wisconsin, all with a similar goal in mind, and that is fighting Alzheimer's. Although each person's fight is different than the others, there was a promise garden at the event that would distinguish people's fights by flower color and why they are connected to this important cause.
The purple flower represents those who've lost someone to the disease. The orange flower is for those who are advocating to put an end to Alzheimer's and all dementia in the future. Yellow is for those who are caring for a loved one who might be living with Alzheimer's or dementia. And then the blue flower is for those who are living with the disease.
One of the participants and contributors for the walk today was Amanda Day, who in June of this year went to Washington, D.C. as an advocate for Alzheimer's and working with others from all over the country to help find a cure.
Walking for my father who passed away from Lewy body dementia, raising funds and awareness for Alzheimer's and trying to end this awful disease.
Due to the loss of Amanda's father, she was given a purple flower, which she intends to use with great regard.
I'm going to place this one on my father's cemetery grave.
The event itself is great for raising awareness, but it also provides a platform to express what is still needed to keep fighting Alzheimer's.
Much needed funds to ensure that we can drive our mission forward, fund research, provide care and support programs, and all the education that the association does in the community as well.
At Warner Park, Nash Dara, News 3 Now.
Nash, thank you. And thanks to everyone that showed up. The Alzheimer's Association met their fundraising goal and then some, having raised $300,000 by the start of the walk. Now to the Brewers. They are back at home in Milwaukee, continuing the National League Division Series against the Cubs. Brewers won Game 1 Saturday, 9-3. As we all know, the Brewers and Cubs have their famous rivalry. Saturday, fans came together to support their teams during this must-watch playoff series.
If they close the roof and it starts leaking like it did last time, hey, we got this.
And the Cubs fans will be sad, but we'll console them on the way home.
Listen, is it even a sporting event if you know you're not cocky and rooting on for your team? Again, tomorrow the Brewers and the Cubs are back in Milwaukee. First pitch is at 8:08 p.m. We will have more on the Brewers and Cubs in just a few minutes during our sports segments. Meanwhile, the Green and Gold aren't on the field today, but they will be back next Sunday. Right now, the Packers are on a bye week. Last week, the Green and Gold tied a game with the Dallas Cowboys. On October 12th, the Packers are back in Green Bay playing against the Bengals. You can watch that game right here on News 3 Now at 3:23 p.m. next Sunday. And if you see more red and white in Madison than usual this week, it's because it's officially UW's homecoming week. Here are some of the biggest events going on this week. Feel the Hill starts that Thursday. Homecoming parade is Friday at 6 p.m. After the parade, there will be a multicultural yard show on Saturday, and Wisconsin will play Iowa at 6 p.m. And there are reports of President Trump sending 300 National Guard members from California to Oregon. We have Governor Gavin Newsom's response in minutes. And a mass shooting in Alabama. After the break, we are hearing the latest as police search for a suspect. California Governor Gavin Newsom says President Donald Trump has ordered 300 members of California's National Guard to Oregon. This comes a day after a federal judge temporarily blocked the president's plan to deploy members of Oregon's National Guard to Portland. The Trump administration says the National Guard is needed in Portland to protect ICE agents. The judge's ruling on Saturday sided with Oregon state attorneys who argue the protests in Oregon are not significantly violent enough to require the military. Trump's administration plans to appeal that ruling, and Newsom said he plans to sue the Trump administration to stop the deployment of his state's National Guard to Oregon. Now to Alabama, where 2 people are dead in a downtown mass shooting that took place Saturday night. Police in Montgomery say at least 2 gunmen opened fire in a crowd of people in a busy nightlife district before midnight. Right now, 14 people are hurt, 3 of them with life-threatening injuries. Montgomery's police department says his heart is out there and his heart is on his sleeve for families of the victims.
Montgomery's a good town, full of fighters, full of good people. We will not tolerate this. I'll guarantee you that.
Montgomery Police Chief says they have recovered some weapons at the scene. Investigators are now interviewing potential suspects. Now to a look outside for the weather. Let's take a look at Shorewood, Wisconsin, near the Milwaukee area. It's been a hot weekend, but we are in for more fall-like temperatures soon. Blaze will have your full forecast in just minutes.
We are looking at a quiet evening, and then it starts to get cloudy. As we go overnight, that rain is going to move on in. Clouds will continue to fill on in as well. A cold front moving out of Minnesota and Iowa will eventually move into Wisconsin. So 60s for temperatures, a little bit cooler than where we have been previous nights, with that rain beginning further to the west and moving towards the north and east. So folks across southeastern Wisconsin, we may not see that rain like in Janesville, maybe even Monroe and Milwaukee until the early morning hours on Monday. And then that rain is set to continue as we go throughout the start of our next work week. A few thunderstorms can't be ruled out, but they're not expected to be severe. Tuesday onward, we are set to be dry, sunny, and mild in terms of temperatures. So this low pressure system is going to push off towards the north and east. We're going to watch as that rain moves on in, and then a little bit of moisture comes out of Iowa and kind of reinforces that ongoing shower activity into Monday. Then our next high pressure system moves on in quickly, And it's going to keep us quiet as we go not only through the rest of Tuesday, but into really the rest of the work week. It's a very strong high pressure system, a large one too. So it's acting like a big weather bubble and keeping a lot of that rain and cloud cover away from us as we go throughout the next work week. Because it is going to be pulling down some cooler air, we may wake up to some morning frost, not only Wednesday morning, but also Thursday morning, as overnight lows dip into the upper 30s to low 40s. In terms of rain, it's really only looking like tonight into Monday, and then we dry on out. Maybe a shower or two there Thursday night. It doesn't look super promising, which isn't necessarily good or bad. It's not bad because obviously we don't want heavy rain, but it's not good because we could use a little bit more than what Future Track is forecasting for us as we go overnight into Monday. About a quarter to a half an inch at best. That's about all that the atmosphere can really squeeze out here. Isolated spots closing into an inch. Again, not everyone is going to see that inch of rain. So hopefully this will keep the grass green, maybe green it up just a little bit. But there are a few more rain chances in the forecast that arrive as we go into the upcoming weekend and then that following work week. In terms of temperatures beginning to plan out the next work week, the first full one of October, we'll start off in the mid to upper 60s and then eventually hang out in those 70s by the end of the work week. This is when that high pressure system begins to exit, winds turn back out of the south, we warm up a little bit. No 80s in the extended forecast, but our temperatures are still expected to be above average, but seasonable as we start off the next work week. If we get back into those 70s, we'll be about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than average by the upcoming weekend. There's a look at the 7 and 10 day forecast. Maybe some rain there by next Sunday and that following Wednesday. But Tanasia and folks at home, I think our best chance for rain is really going to be tonight into Monday, and then we're quiet throughout the rest of next week.
All right, Blaze, I'm happy to see that fall. It's starting to feel like fall, I should say.
It's starting to feel like fall. I wish it were slightly cooler, but I'll take the 60s and 70s over the 80s and 90s. I'm over summer.
I'm going to regret saying that I want it to be colder in about 3 or 4 months.
I was going to say, heart of winter, we're going to look back fondly at this warm weekend.
Absolutely. All right, Blaze, thank you. Now to sports, the Badgers lose, Brewers win, and the Bucs season hasn't even begun. We will have a sports update in just a few minutes. It looked a bit better. That's the only positive you can take out of Wisconsin's loss at Michigan yesterday. But it was still a loss. Wisconsin fell 0-3 in a Big Ten play. Here on out. Luke Fickell knows things haven't been this low for UW in a long time, and he says he's not going to sugarcoat it either.
Well, we're not here to sugarcoat anything. Obviously, there obviously is always some good, but our ability to sustain and finish is where, we still are not close to where we need to be, and the second half kind of showed that. And I would give them a lot of credit in their ability to stick with what they needed to do and what they wanted to do, and in the long run probably wore us down a bit, and we weren't able to sustain and maintain some things in the second half.
Now the Bucs made a big move this season, waiving Damian Lillard and making space for what Giannis calls one of the best big men in the league, Miles Turner. It was an all-in move to maximize the Greek Freak's prime and to keep him as a Bucs player. Turner isn't necessarily a superstar, but he could mold into one in Milwaukee.
I'm a two-way player. I'm someone who defends the rim at a very high level. Someone who can also, stretch the floor as well, and make defenses have to respect, outside shots. And with someone like Giannis who is able to get downhill and command so much attention, someone that can take some pressure off of Giannis himself. And, I'm just excited for the opportunity where I'm at.
Now, the Brewers got off to a hot start in the postseason despite taking a week off. They beat the Cubs handily, winning 9-3. They have a day off today, but they are back at it tomorrow at AmFam in Milwaukee with an 8:08 p.m. first pitch. And now we're going to take another look outside in Port Washington in Wisconsin. Blaze is going to have our final check of weather after the break. All right, Blaze, you have good news for anyone who likes the feeling of fall.
It's right around the corner. Yes, rain tonight is going to be brought in by a cold front, so mid to upper 60s tomorrow. And we're set to hang out in the 60s throughout most of next week. Maybe we're flirting with the 70s by Thursday, certainly there by Friday. Rain wraps up later Monday evening, so we'll also be quiet for most of the week onward. Could be dealing with some morning frost there Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And if all things hold true, we could be back into the 70s underneath quiet conditions for the most part as we head into the upcoming weekend. But the first full week of October doesn't look too bad. Just some rain on Monday.
Yes, and I'm happy about that. You know, let it feel like fall for a little bit.
Yes,
you know?
truly.
I like that it's still a little hotter than most, fall.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all will be back here tonight at 10. Have a nice evening.